We do have a quorum. If you would join me in the pledge to the flag, and if you care to, a prayer led by Commissioner Dawes. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pause and thank you for another day you've given us. Lord, we look forward to the day when we will see you face to face. Lord, give us wisdom today as we make decisions. Let the things we do benefit the people in Hendricks County. Father, we just thank you that we can serve the people here in our county. Pray that all of our departments and elected officials and people who work here will have that servant attitude toward everyone. We thank you in Christ's name. Amen.
Last couple of weeks, we've had enhanced cameras and microphones. So they've been picking up chatter from the audience and chatter from us. So I just wanted you to know we are live and we're practicing for when the state mandates that we have to record everything in this room to be available to the public. So. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the August 27th meeting and the executive session on August 22nd.
Move for approval.
Second?
Comments?
None?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the approval of claims, which
Move for approval.
Second?
could you make that motion subject to review because they didn't come through on electronically, so
Let my motion show it's subject.
To review. My second.
alrighty. So do you have any questions?
No.
None?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do we have any unfinished business that
None?
we'll move on then to new business? And the first item is a public hearing for no truck traffic on certain county roads. We duly advertised that this would be heard this morning. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. And John, isn't that County Road 1000 East?
1000 East between 600 North and I-74.
So the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak to posting in the ordinance for no trucks on County Road 1000 East? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed.
This is in responses to some complaints we've gotten about trucks being routed apparently off I-74 and up to 600, over to 1000, and then back down to some of the warehouses. Only a small portion of that is the county's. The portion right at 600 North at the Hessian Farm is ours. Then it's in the town. Then once it makes the jog to the east, that's ours until you get to 74, and then it's the town's again. The town's aware we're doing this, and they're going to post their sections likewise after if we pass our ordinance. They're going to do the same thing.
Okay, so they are gonna agree with what
Yes.
we're doing and they will follow.
Because the traffic needs to go down to 136 and back up, or actually direct access off of the parkway into that industrial park. And we've had issues apparently with trucks parking up there, stopping on 600. I don't know if they're trying to figure out where they're going or they're sleeping or what, but apparently that's true.
Okay.
So Madam President, you need a motion to approve this ordinance.
I do, and it's ordinance number 2024-40.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments or questions?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
John, I believe you have the next. We have duly advertised that we would open bids for a self-propelled road widener, and at this time I will close the bids being received.
We have one bid, that's from Southeastern Equipment.
Pass.
Dollar amount of $179,500, $179,500.
And how old is the one that we
I
have?
think it's an 07 or an 06. It's starting to require a lot of maintenance. I've seen the maintenance records on it. It's getting tired. So we use one. We use it quite a bit.
So do you trade it in or sell it to another government?
I don't know if we would probably take it to auction, I would guess. I have talked to Kurt about it, but we did not include trade-in value on the bid information. But we seem to have the best luck with auction sales of our old equipment then, more so than trade-in.
How long do you think we've had the old one?
I think it's an 06 or 07, I believe.
So will this new one last as long, you think?
It should, yes.
I'll move to accept the
Well,
submitted.
I would like to review this back
All
here.
right. Pending, I'll move to accept pending John's review.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now, we need to advertise for bidders for highway supplies.
Yes, we're looking at a bid date at the end of November like we always do. We're just giving this to you a little earlier than we do sometimes, just to go ahead and have our bases covered. For our normal annual bids for asphalt, stone, materials.
So this will be advertised for the end of November.
Yeah, he's got their due November 26th.
Do we need to sign?
Yeah, you need to sign the notice to bidders.
Okay, could I have a motion authorizing us to sign the notice to bidders?
So moved.
Second.
This needs my signature. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is a zoning item. ZA 517/24, Brian Motter.
Morning. Before you with the zoning map amendment request. I've got some. I'll explain that Might look over your shoulder, I guess, to cut your homework. I have a zoning map amendment for request to change an AGR property to general business. This is west of the town of New Winchester. Hopefully you reviewed the minutes, the draft minutes that were presented. Property is behind an existing self-storage facility, and the desire would be to expand. This is on 36 with access onto the highway, onto, like I said, AGR, ag residential zone. property. Plan Commission held the hearing with multiple remonstrators present and voted 6-1 on an unfavorable recommendation. Staff letter mirrored a staff letter from the previous petition, so this was presented to the Plan Commission a number of months ago. Staff letter was unchanged because the petition was unchanged. And last time it was presented to you with a unanimous unfavorable recommendation was denied. The petitioner has presented and asked me to present some concessions before you that I got this morning. I was out yesterday, so I apologize. But at this point, I'm here to recommend the Plan Commission's, or represent the Plan Commission's recommendation of an unfavorable and ask for your vote and answer any questions.
I also was presented 2 letters before the meeting. Haven't had a chance to read them in depth, but they're from a husband and wife, and they are opposed to this zoning change, and I think they probably were at the Plan Commission meeting.
Petitioner's here, along with the representative, Mr. Irby, if you have any questions. I know multiple remonstrators are here as well, if you have any specific questions for them.
Well, I'd like to remind the remonstrators that the public hearing was held at the Plan Commission on September the 10th, and that was their opportunity, and we have the Plan Commission's recommendation for an unfavorable.
Can I ask some questions?
You can.
After, thank you or whomever for giving us this. So were these items discussed at the Plan Commission meeting?
The only thing I'll say is that there was some brief discussion about hours. I think Bob had asked if that was an appropriate thing to restrict hours of operation, or I think he said access. But other than that, these are new as of today, or yesterday.
And I don't know if you can answer this, maybe they can, I assume, but is the current is the current facility that's there, do you follow these guidelines or rules currently?
No, not right now.
So these would change for the whole operation
Correct.
then, is that correct?
Yes.
Question, Madam President. Greg, I was asked this question. Some of the neighbors' concern was regarding zoning, and, you know, that's at almost every meeting. Citizens are concerned about changing of zoning and what else could be there. If this were to pass, would the zoning that says it's a self-storage, is that tied to the deed and it can't be anything else?
No, it changed the zoning district for the property that would permit all those uses that we went over in the meeting. You remember we pulled up that list? Yeah, permit all those uses as long as it's a clean, unrestricted rezoning.
There's zoning classifications, the different uses, different classifications. And if there was no restriction or representation that this would be only use on that property, if it's rezoned, then all those uses are available. But I don't know what, I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know what conditions or restrictions were put on the petition like that.
So can the petitioner stipulate that be only this? Can they stipulate that list be ignored, set aside, and it can only be this? They can do that. Okay.
Can we do that? Or do they have to be the ones to?
They have to offer that.
They have to offer it.
Yes.
Would they offer that?
At this time, I'm not gonna say that, you know, this is with my dad too, so he couldn't make it, he's out of town. But I could say as long as we own it, it will always be self-storage. Now, I'm saying if we don't, you know, down the road, 20 years and we sell it, the new owner, that's on them, but when we own it, it'll always be self-storage.
I can say that.
That's my question. In other words, if you stipulate that it's going to be self-storage, whoever buys it is going to be buying a self-storage facility.
That's correct, but,
And that,
I mean, but bear in mind, any property owner can come back in and request a change.
sure, absolutely.
Okay.
And the recommendation from the Plan Commission after hearing the remonstrance and the presentation from staff, the recommendation was an unfavorable recommendation with a 6-1 vote.
It was, Madam President, except none of these stipulations were offered.
Well,
Because
and
it's,
as far as I'm concerned, those stipulations would have to go back to the Plan Commission.
I see.
well, is that what we want to do then? Send it back to Plan Commission so they can reconsider all these items that have been stipulated to?
Bob, you're, or Commissioner Gentry, you're on the Plan Commission. If these stipulations went back to the Plan Commission, would it change the vote?
I can't speak for anybody else.
No.
I think it would
You don't think it
greatly
would?
Well, I
enhance,
don't
Oh,
know.
I think it would greatly
Six-
enhance their-
6-1 was a big majority.
Yeah.
greatly
I
enhance
agree.
their chances because none of these things were brought up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Plan Commission rules are fairly rigid.
Yeah.
And we're not as rigid here. So maybe it would be appropriate then to send them back and let them bring this before the Plan Commission with all these. And there needs to be, for the neighbors, it appears to me, one of them contacted me because they have a fear of the zoning. And that was the issue up there a month or two ago with the Tom Rich thing. And it frightens people, I understand that, but if the owners will stipulate that that's part of, it be recorded that way, that whatever you're buying, whoever buys it's gonna buy a self-storage, you're not gonna buy something and tear it down and goes on that list, or, federal prison and all these kind of things that are objectionable.
But if it's rezoned, the new owner can do whatever is in that new zoning, like ag business, and you've listed what those things could be.
It's difficult. I always have issues with specific use restrictions. It's pretty, hamstrings the property quite a bit. And it's also hard to make people aware of that before they buy the property. But I always say if the use is appropriate for the property, then it should be appropriate for all the uses that are permitted within that district.
How is the current self-storage space zoned?
GB, general business, yes.
Which would include a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not just self-storage.
Well, given this discussion, then I think it probably should go back. Let the
Would
Plan
it-
Commission hear it again.
Would it go back to the next meeting?
We would have to advertise a third public hearing. I don't know when we'd be able to do that.
And just personally, I think that's a hardship on the remonstrators and those that have genuine concerns about their area. I read the documentation with it and it said, that, there's ag on the east side, ag on the
Yeah. I
south
saw that.
side, and
I saw that.
so,
Well,
Well,
Madam President, but that's the case across the county. I mean, I'm a farmer. That's what we face this all the time, all the time. I guess I'm willing to make a motion then that this be returned to the Plan Commission to be heard again with these stipulations that the petitioner has made, to be heard by the entire Plan Commission.
can we do that, Council?
I'm trying to research as fast as I can.
I know you can do that with the a text amendment or a plan change, like something that's presented by the plan commission. I don't know for certain if you can do that with the zoning amendment. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to.
Well,
Would it be a reapplication, like, where they would have to wait?
No, I don't think so.
No, I would hope not.
No.
I mean, I understand the difficulty on the remonstrators and so on. I appreciate that and understand that. But there's also the same on the, so it's kind of both.
Right,
And
it is.
yeah, it goes both ways. So I think to be fair to both, I guess, I'll second Bob's motion.
Well, Greg's still researching.
His fingers are going fast.
I'm doing my best, doing my best.
How about your motion
No.
be subject to, if it's allowable, to send it back?
Okay,
Well,
and if it's not, in which case, then they just return to us again.
I guess
That
they
makes
would
sense.
come back to our next meeting for us to vote on it, I guess, I suppose.
So what you're saying is you're rejecting the recommendation.
Well, not with the stipulations that they've made, but I don't, how do we, are these recorded?
Wouldn't this be something that if it were approved, it would be discussed in the plan review committee or?
Technical.
Yeah, it could be, but the issue is some of those things are not enforceable by the plan commission, like hours when we're not open. That's something I mentioned during the hearing is I'm not gonna go out there in the middle of the night when somebody pulls in and use their access code and my guys aren't gonna be there.
So you're saying it would be hard to enforce it?
Well, it wouldn't be, I don't know how my department would enforce it. It would have to be somebody else, that's like sheriff or somebody.
Question, Madam President. Well, when the Brownsburg baseball organization
Yeah,
came in,
we had hours.
they were willing to stipulate 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I said the same
Is
thing.
that is this self-enforcing? Is that what you're
I
saying, Tim?
don't have it, I don't know how else to say it, I don't know how it's enforced. Plus it's a one-time offense kind of thing, where you say, don't do that again, and then they do it. I mean, it's not an ongoing, my department deals in ongoing physical things that I can abrogate at any time.
The negative recommendation, if you want to amend the proposal, and return to the plan commission for consideration, but you have to put in writing the statement of the reasons for the amendment. Then the commission has 45 days to consider the amendment.
So we can send it back.
Amended.
Oh, okay. Wait,
And our
these are-
conditions would be these,
These.
I would guess,
And if you want to limit it to this,
and limited to this use. Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm asking, is that what you want to do?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that is
Yeah.
what we want.
because they said they would only use it for that. I would agree with that.
I do too. I agree.
Is this like doubling the current facility in size or tripling it or?
No, currently there's only 33 units there, and with all the zoning or the setback requirements and everything, we started with 4 acres, and now we're at, I think it's 14 in that backfield. And we only bought more because of all the zoning requirements and the setbacks. And one of the neighbors, they were concerned about the view of their pond, so we pushed the buildings back right behind their house 150 additional feet and took away all that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So Greg, is it then our option to send it back to the plan commission with these stipulations?
And it be used only for?
And be used only as a self-storage facility?
And that would be for future ownership.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
don't know how you control that. So,
So I,
They have 45 days to.
You can amend what they sent you, okay, and send it back to them for their consideration. They just sent the negative recommendation. You can send it back.
with a 6-1 vote.
Yeah. You can send it with this amendment saying, would you consider, would the plan commission consider this, these stipulations that you've enunciated?
That's what my motion was.
So do we assign this a ordinance number?
and I'll second.
Let- No, you should assign it an ordinance number.
Okay, so it would be 2024-41. So your motion is to send ordinance 2024-41 back to the plan commission with these items for them to review.
As well as a stipulation that it will remain self-storage.
Let's make sure we know what we're doing here,
Yeah.
okay? What you're actually doing is approving this ordinance with those stipulations. You are approving this right now, okay? With these recommendations. So it's approved with these 5 stipulations you put on there, whatever they were, okay? But you're voting to approve it
So then, why does it go back to the plan commission?
because it was a negative recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
So it will eventually come back to us again, though?
If the commission approves the amendment you sent or fails to act within 45 days, then the ordinance stands as you pass it right now. Okay, but you're passing the ordinance. I want to be very clear. You're passing the ordinance.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear.
If the commission disapproves the amendment, the action of the legislative body, that's you,
Yeah.
stands only if confirmed by another vote of the legislative body within 45 days after the commission certifies it back to you.
So what if it goes back to plan commission and they vote on it again, is that correct?
If they approve the amendment you send back to
What
them,
if they don't approve the amendment we send back?
if the planning commission disapproves the amendment, the action of the legislative body, you, on the original amendment stands only if you confirm it by another vote within 45 days after the planning commission said,
So we
Certifies.
will vote on it again,
yes.
as I understand. Okay, got it. I'm okay with what we're doing
Madam
then.
President, one thing we need to be a little more clear with here. There, when it says sawdust to prevent runoff, there's more technicality there. You don't just dump sawdust. There is a well-respected soil and water conservation district use of sawdust. I forget the name of that, but that needs to be,
May I suggest this? If you're gonna send this back for the planning commission approval, you need to be very clear on what you're sending back to them.
yes,
If there's an issue on this sawdust things, you need to delay this. And so when you send it back to the planning
so it's
commission,
very specific, you're saying.
you have to be very specific on what the planning commission is gonna consider. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
That
And
makes sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
So you're recommending that we table this then until the specificity of all these items?
I suggest you continue it until you know exactly what you wanna send back to the planning commission for consideration.
If you have an idea of what that should be, you should say it right.
Contact Mike Starkey. He knows, he's the head of the Soil and Water Conservation District. He knows how to build these things.
well, I read the draft of the minutes from the meeting where this was presented, and I read the comments from the demonstrators and also the comments from the members of the plan commission. you know, we have given the duty and responsibility of those people to consider what's been presented to them and to take everything into consideration. And then they send us a recommendation. And, you know, it was sent to us with an unfavorable recommendation by 6 of the voting members, 1 dissented, so. This is most unusual. This was presented to us the first thing this morning, like it was just put together, so I have trouble with this.
So do we, then I think we need to table it until the petitioner has very specifically outlined the items that are before us. Because just to say that sawdust, that's not good enough
No,
to count for the, because there is a well-respected way to handle that.
You have 90 days to act
Okay.
on this
Okay.
certification.
So we can continue it and ask for these things to be brought back.
You have 90 days to act on the,
Why don't we,
these things be brought back to us or the plan commission?
comes back to us.
Now, back to us, I would assume.
From what Greg said.
if you amend it,
We're only continuing it at the moment.
yeah, you're continuing it until you get your recommendations
Yeah.
prepared.
And then I suppose we would have to amend the recommendation from the plan commission
Yes.
at that time.
You would approve it with amendments to go back to the plan commission.
So if I hear you correctly, you would like to, table is not the right word, but
Table or continue it, that's
Continue,
what you're
yeah,
doing,
okay.
yes.
continue it to when? Our next meeting? Which is.
What do you think?
I mean, there's.
What do you think, Tim?
I think
Next
we're gonna-
meeting, is that adequate or should it go a month?
I don't know what you have to discuss, you shouldn't be talking about this with anybody but yourselves, and you're here now. So I feel like there's no need to
What do
continue.
you mean we shouldn't be talking about this with anybody? but
Public hearing has been
ourselves?
held, and everything that should be known is known to the public.
Okay. But like this one item on here, this sawdust to prevent runoff, unless Bob said what he said, I wouldn't have known with any more detail
I understand,
in my mind.
and I don't either, and that's because that's something that my construction inspector would work out day of in the field, but I mean, that's not zoning amendment type stuff.
Okay.
As I stated before, the rules in the plan commission are very rigid, and they don't allow any agility at all. And
I mean,
I was one of the I voted for them favorable recommendation, given the facts I had at that time. But we have different facts before us now.
But that's what seems unfair, that the plan commission did
Well,
not
right,
have
the plan
those.
commission needs
And-
to hear it again. I see is that what you're saying?
I'm just talking about tabling this so you can talk about the commitments. I don't think that's appropriate. I think you should make a decision on those now. If you want the planning commission to rehear those, then you should send it back now and not wait a month.
That suits me.
I'm okay with that.
I am too.
Send it back with these items, except Greg said we need to be more specific
Yes.
than this.
Yes.
But I
And
don't
the
know how,
burden-
I don't know how to make
burden's
it.
on
And this appears to have been last minute
Yeah.
and
The burden,
not put together.
and they can do that. They can do that. The
Yes.
burden is on the petitioner then to make
Yes.
these things
Okay.
more specific.
But I will not vote for the motion because I feel like that the plan commission reviewed it, heard the remonstrators, heard the member comments, and they sent it to us in good faith with an unfavorable recommendation, so I will not vote for your motion
Well,
to continue it.
Okay.
so what motion do we have on the floor right now?
Depends on if you're continuing it to wait for them to make the amendments and bring the amendments back to you first, or if you're voting to approve the amendments and send it back to Plan Commission. Depends on which way.
I would approve these amendments and send them back to the, does that sound right, Greg? Approve the amendments and return it to the Plan Commission.
Let me see if this is what you want to do. You want to amend you amend the proposed ordinance that's been certified to you with these recommendations as amendments, including sawdust to be applied according to state rules and regulations, and these others as they are, and with the amendment that only this use is permitted on the property. No other uses within the zoning classification. Okay,
See,
so is that your,
That would be my motion.
and
Go
I'll-
ahead and read those commitments out into the record.
the hours of operation would be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's down from 24 hours. A limit of 45 vehicles instead of 75. That's what I'm reading. Low LED lights on the buildings that only come on as motion activated. And the sawdust to be applied according to state rules and regulations.
Yes. And
And remain self-storage.
And only this proposed use be allowed on the property. No other use within the zoning classification.
See, President Palmer, when I read all the material as well, a lot of it dealt with these items that I think so I think we're trying to be, my mind, I'm trying to be fair to both sides.
yes,
But, and I fully appreciate the fact that we appoint a plan commission to carry out their duties, and they did. And yet we can be a little more flexible, I guess, using Bob's term.
we voted against recommendation before when they recommended the thoroughfare plan from 70 up to 39. Their recommendation was favorable and we voted it down. And I was proud to vote it down.
So are you clear on what the motion is? And it is ordinance number 2024-41. Do we sign it?
Rewritten.
Rewritten, okay. So, all those in favor of the motion to include stipulations and send it back to the Plan Commission for reconsideration, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, do I need to advertise that as a public hearing, or is the hearing's done?
Do you feel we have a responsibility to those remonstrators so they'll know when the hearing is?
Courtesy, you should notify them.
Yes.
It's okay.
And you have a record of who they were that attended the Plan
New
Commission?
addresses.
I think some are here,
Yeah.
so they'll get the word out.
Okay. Next meeting's in 2 weeks from today. I don't have time to advertise that in the newspaper. And then the following meeting would be no more than 45 days away. So we'll just post a sign and try and,
Just an agenda item.
yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
Sorry, Tim, it took so long.
Thanks, Tim.
The next item is the disaster emergency proclamation. Last week, I had seen where there was a grass fire at County Road 0 and US 40, and I had been watching the map as to what counties had put into effect burn bans, so I contacted our EMA director, Debbie Fletcher, and we decided that she talked with the fire chiefs and we did come up with a burn ban. And we need to vote for that to be official. We went ahead and put the burn ban into effect via text and email. And so I would take a
Move for
motion to,
approval.
I'll second.
and I think it says it's in effect until September the 29th. And so we'll reconsider then, you know, we do have some rain coming and everything, and see if any other people are lifting theirs.
Sure.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I had already come in and signed the proclamation, so we're good there. So Debbie, you have the next couple of items.
Ooh. This is my first time in front of you, and tomorrow's my first anniversary, so I don't know what that's about.
Have you been here a year
I
already?
have.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow.
Sometimes it feels like yesterday, and sometimes an eternity. So just to kind of go over a little bit, you have to do two things for me today, if possible. The first one is I wanted to explain the BRIC grant, which is the Building Resilient Infrastructures and Communities grant from the federal government. The idea is to reduce risk from these hazards that we deal with based on some different type of mitigation efforts, whether that's building a dam, public information, developing other programs to protect the public, those types of things.
Excuse me, could you,
Yes.
did you say building a dam?
Yes, if we had to build a dam. We don't have to build a dam, but there are those that do. I don't wanna build a dam, I can tell you that, we have enough
You
of
don't
those. Yes, no, we
Continue, I'm
don't want that. The idea is that if you can mitigate against some of these hazards that we deal with, and our number one hazards basically are obviously severe weather, drought, interesting, flooding, hail, those types of things, all the things that we live with every day. And so there are different things that you can do. What basically the project ends up being is we have a plan, we write this multi-hazard mitigation plan every 5 years. And part of that plan and that planning effort is to have a meeting with people of the community as well as public safety and others to talk about areas of concern. And then come up with ideas for how we can fix it. Right, so the actual request for the grant went actually in 22. So it takes a very long time for these things to roll through. We received the award in August of 23 and just received the funding and the ability to spend it in about June of this year. So again, very slow. But we do have until 2026, August of 2026 to spend it. And our plan to spend it is to update that hazard mitigation plan, which also expires in 2026.
Now, is this a matching grant?
It is a match it's a 75-25, I believe. So we have the grant itself that we received from the federal government is $20,300, I believe. And the portion that we would actually be responsible for is $6,768. And we can do that in kind, meaning our time, every moment that we spend working on this grant, those types of things, your time, that we can put all of that into a spreadsheet, and that goes as, we don't actually have to come up with the money, we actually spend it produce it by our time and efforts with the project.
So Debbie, excuse me, when it talks about rewriting or updating or whatever, I assume you and or others are the ones that are going to be doing that.
My next proposal is to hire somebody to do that for us.
Okay, that's what I thought,
Yes.
these two go together.
They do,
And-
they
got it.
do. The
Okay,
one is the grant, and then the second is the proposal for Christopher Burke
right.
to actually do the work. And they have been the group that has done it since the beginning of the planning.
Okay.
So they're very good at it. They do it for a lot of people.
So the reason the dollars are the same is Christopher Burke has agreed to do this for those dollars.
That's correct.
Because that's the money we have in the room.
That's correct.
Got it.
Yes.
Fits together now.
There you go.
Okay, and it's gonna take a while. as
It'll
I
take a
read.
while, yeah,
Yeah.
because they will do public meetings, they will
Right.
do planning meetings.
Okay.
There's a number of pieces. They have to do a lot of analysis on the hazards to see if things have changed, if something has bumped itself up in the risk rather than, other things maybe that drought kind of pushed itself to the top, but, maybe severe weather does or whatever it is. We know that hazards we've had more and more over the years. I've tried to keep my dome of protection over the county. I'm not sure how successful I will be forever, but we know that it's much more expensive to repair and recover from things now than it used to be. They say every dollar you spend in mitigation efforts can save you about $6 in rebuilding recovery. So it's worth spending the money up front, developing these projects. If we did have a disaster, then we could put in for mitigation money to actually conduct and complete some of the projects that we have in the list.
Question, Madam President. So you have authority over these dams and ponds that are all over the county?
I don't have authority as much as I do oversight, I guess. So every one of the dams is required to have a plan. They have a dam plan. And so I've been known to use the two words together, but spelled differently. But anyway, so they're required to have that. They have to update them every 5 years, I believe. And so part of my job is to make sure that that's done through, the
I'm
folks
glad
there.
to know that because the Surveyor's Office, Greensboro, we do not have authority over those, and it's awkward.
And it is very awkward, and levies are even worse because they're usually privately owned. Yes, DNR is they're the big dog in the fight when it comes to those, so.
So Debbie, and we appreciate your being here for a year and hope it's many more years.
So do I.
So the one agenda item that we're talking about now, but we're talking about both, is to approve or accept the grant,
Correct.
and the other agenda item is to spend the money.
Correct,
Got it. Okay.
Christopher Burke.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, can we do that together, or we need to?
I think probably I have to sign this one, we probably need
Two
to,
different items on the agenda.
yes.
Do it
two motions.
separate? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the BRIC, B-R-I-C grant agreement.
Second,
And it only needs my signature.
Okay,
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
and I'll make a motion then to approve the proposal from Christopher Burke Engineering to assist the county, Debbie's department, with the multi-hazard mitigation plan update.
second.
Is there any discussion on that? It requires only my signature.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yes.
Billy Staley. Operation Green Light. We did that last year, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Kevin put green lights on
We
the
had green lights
courthouse.
up at the courthouse.
Yeah,
Worked out well.
Yeah.
But we're asking again this year for the county to assist in the Operation Green Light, which is it's nationwide requesting counties to display green lights, just to show that the community supports our veterans, appreciates their service, and that the community continues to stand behind and support veterans however we can.
and this would be resolution 2024-39, and it's in effect from October 14th through Veterans Day on November the 11th. And one of the phrases I particularly appreciated in the proclamation was that it encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition, honoring all of those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of the place of business or residence from. So it
Move for approval.
hopefully we have more green lights this year than we had last year.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 So question, Madam President, Billy, how, or us, I guess, how will we get the word out on this so that everybody living anywhere in the county, if they want to put a green light in place of their white lights or yellow, whatever, they can do that? How do we get that word out?
So I talked to a Republican, get it advertised in the newspaper. I'll talk to them on Thursday. And share it with the Central Indiana Veterans Coalition that they've organized, starting up. They have their group that they can get it out to, along with getting it out to the American Legion posts and the VFWs. Get the word out.
I think last year I saw AIC had also published the counties.
I'll put there as well.
Thank you. Mila has presented us with a proposed calendar. It's hard to believe that we're talking about holidays for next year, 2025, but she's presented us with a calendar to consider and for our approval if.
I'll
It
move.
includes 14 paid holidays. 13 now, yeah.
There are no elections next year, is according to Marjorie, so those two dates were removed from the calendar for next year.
You know, town election.
She said there's nothing.
It surprised me.
I'll
We've
move
got
it.
to move those town elections.
I'll move it.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Dawes to approve the calendar as presented, and a second from Commissioner Gentry. Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we need all three signatures on this. Commend Mila, she checked with other counties to see how they were handling their holidays. Is there any other new business to come before us? We've completed the items that were printed on the agenda. Anything else? Okay. We'll move on to comments from the floor.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
could you repeat the dates for that Operation Greenlight? It was October what?
13th, 14th to the 11th.
October 14th through November 11th.
Are you gonna change the lights at the church?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
You count on Brother Har.
Any other comments from the floor? Everybody's really quiet. Elected officials, which, Jack, you might be the only one here because everybody else is at AIC. Yeah. And you don't have anything?
Well, I'll just comment, today is our first day of our citizens firearms support. So I was late getting here, but, well, so we have a class. Search class, so we're excited to see them do this training.
Yeah.
And they want to help.
Okay. Greg, did you have anything?
I did not.
Move on to staff reports. Mr. Ayers?
Yes, ma'am. My memo, the first three items you've already addressed. I would like to take a step back though on the widener. I reviewed the bid while we're sitting here and it complies with what we specified, I would recommend we go ahead, contrary to what I said earlier, I would recommend that you go ahead and accept the bid today on the widener.
I'll move to follow county engineer's recommendation.
Second.
Is that a document to be signed?
Yes, I wrote the date in up above, so down below that it says contracting authority members, that's you. So
All three of us?
Oh,
if you vote to accept the bid.
Okay. Are there any comments about the road widener and John's recommendation to approve?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
They have one in stock, we'll have it.
Oh, they do? Wow, does it? Wow.
How far away is that? Is that
They're in Indianapolis.
like on Southeastern
Southie-
Avenue?
I'm not sure where they're located actually.
One of their locations is on 465 north. I got one there, and I think they're come down.
So we can have it transferred in 2 weeks.
All
Most of these other things are just updates. I told you about an issue we found with the bridge on 350 North that we're investigating right now, and I'll have more ideas what that's gonna cost us here in a couple weeks. I do have a consultant looking at it right now and designing an alternative. I think will allow us to reuse the existing substructure, but replace all the beams in the deck. The next item was the bridge beams on the Parkway. I sent you some pictures. That was an operation to behold. It was pretty cool.
I heard about that.
Yeah, there's some really big, expensive equipment there. They had 3 really, really high dollar cranes that are set those things, but it went like clockwork. So they got done in 2 days on the north span, and then they moved around on the south side. Had to move one crane to the south side, and one went away. And so they had 2 cranes for the setting on the south side, and they got that done Thursday, Friday. We had good weather, everything went well.
All about counterweight.
Lots and lots and lots of counterweight.
Yeah.
So that went well. I'll send you, United took some drone footage also, so I'll send you the drone
Oh,
footage.
really?
To show a good view of the road going south.
It's looking good from 136.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost ready.
Not quite. Don't get ahead of ourselves.
You can drive 750, and you can literally drive over it, over the new road, and when you're up there, and you can look down south.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of that,
It's taking shape.
almost all of it.
So it's going well. Talked to you about the annexation application for the highway garage has been submitted. I'm waiting to hear back from them if we're on the agenda for the 2nd. I don't know, and again, this is just for the annexation, not for plan review or the plan commission review. I don't know if a commissioner ought to be there or if you're comfortable with me covering the meeting.
That was one of my questions, should one of us appear?
I don't know. I can I'll talk to Mark and see what he thinks, if it'd be good to have
Let us
a
know.
commissioner there. Okay.
I might be able.
I'll be there, but I mean, I'll see what he thinks. Just an item on a delay on a box culvert on 400 East. There's a delay due to Plainfield's water line there. They don't have a way to relocate it till next spring, so we're delayed.
Now, where is that?
This is this is behind Ray's. I'm sorry, Waste Management.
Yeah,
Between
okay.
40 and Fox
Yeah, I
Creek.
figured that out when I was reading your report, yeah.
So they have an old ductile iron line on the east side, and it's exposed in a couple places, but they don't have the money to relocate it. They don't have it budgeted to relocate this year, so we gotta wait. I meant to get an executive session with you this week. We have a condemnation I'd like to start on, but I forgot to get the executive session, so we'll have to start that the next meeting. And I just got an email, I think we're gonna have to. And these are both on a bridge on County Road 700 north west of 267.
West of 267.
Yes. There's two property owners there giving us issues.
Oh, is that west of the new coffee
Yeah,
place?
yeah. down-
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I do have consultant fees for the design of the roundabouts on State Road 39. I'd like to review those a little bit before I bring them to you to see if it's something the county wants to pursue.
Will you bring that to our next meeting?
I can, yep,
So that we can keep that moving?
I sure will. We will have to get an additional appropriation to pay those
Yeah.
somewhere. At the request of two of the council members, I'm exploring a little bit some funding alternatives for the Parkway extension, utilizing 50-50 share with federal aid. I've got Lori looking into that. I've done some asking. I'm not sure that that's going to come to fruition because right now the state's really tightening up on what they can spend on highway stuff. Their budget's constricting pretty quickly, so I'm not sure they have a lot of extra money. But we're exploring that option right now. And that's all I had, unless you had something for me.
Go ahead, Denny.
My only question, which I think you answered earlier, was the Bridge 49 and the cost of what that might be, and you said, that's
I don't know yet.
gotta be pretty expensive. I
Well,
would
it's
think.
on a curve, so it's a little tricky. I had an engineer come, I sent you a thing about that. I hired an engineer to come look at it, just to do a feasibility analysis on changing basically the superstructure type to lighten it up a little bit and be able to reuse existing piers with minimal repair. He thinks we can do it with minimal repair to the piers. So with that, he'll give us some rough cost estimates. Right now, we do have it shuttled down to one lane. It's the outside beams that are a problem, middle beams are fine. And we're paving on that road right now. I did have them put on some asphalt to help protect the top a little bit. But we do have it shut down to one lane with barrels along the sides. And it's particularly dicey because it's in a curve. 350 north, well, if you go west from 267, you go down the hill and you go around the curve.
Oh, yeah.
It's right in that curve.
Oh,
A few years ago, we had a van that ran off the road there, I think. We had to replace all the guardrail on the bridge.
Other than, it's not a situation where we should shut it down.
No,
Okay.
no, the beams in the middle are fine. It's the outside edge beams that are bad. So traffic running in the middle is fine. Yeah, it doesn't need to be closed down.
Is that all for John?
And just to add to that a little bit, we knew there was issues underneath the beams, but we uncovered issues on top of the beams that made us more nervous when they were milling it to do the repaving. So as they were milling the old asphalt off, there's like 8 inches of asphalt on it. So as they're milling it off, we got down to concrete. The concrete is very soft, and we can see steel showing through the top in a couple places. So they stopped. Kim went out and looked at it and said, yeah, we've got issues. And that's when we looked underneath also and decided we needed it. The damage was the deterioration of the bridge is beyond what we had been able to uncover before in our normal inspections.
Todd?
One of my items, item number 3, was on the agenda. It's already been addressed. The rest is informational for you and does not require any action by you, but I'll be happy to discuss or answer any questions if you have any.
Todd, on item number 2,
Yes.
I assume that'll come back to us, right?
Yes.
As an official agenda item at some point.
Assuming that's possible, yeah, that they
Okay.
can actually do that, yeah.
Okay, all right,
I hope to have that certainly by the next meeting.
okay. And then item number 5,
I wonder about that too.
anyway, how do we ever resolve that? That's, okay, that's
I
fine.
thought,
None of you know what item number 5 is, sorry. It's a
I did my
secret up
best,
here.
but
Why can't we just get?
it's about a cemetery
Yeah,
and I thought it had been resolved.
I did too.
it's a
I
dead
thought
issue
we had-
about a cemetery, but it's not dead.
Who said that? A smart aleck in every bunch, isn't there?
They're still dying to get in it.
Yeah.
Madam President, why are we precluded from just giving it to them? Is there?
I don't think we can.
Because the statute says you're supposed to sell it, that's the minimum. And if you can get more, you're supposed to.
Oh,
This is on me. I'm trying to see whether or not we have to hire a realtor to do it, or if we can just do an online auction. An online auction will be cheaper, better, everything. So let me confirm that, we'll get that done, okay? I'm just trying to figure out the most
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I do too.
Trying to
Yeah,
figure out the most
okay.
expeditious way to do it.
That might
That would
help.
be a good way.
That might help.
Yeah,
yeah.
it would.
Got it.
So,
Good thought, Counselor.
thank you very much.
He has lots of good thoughts.
One a year, not a bad average.
Couldn't do it without you.
Anything else for Todd?
I believe I'm next.
I believe you are.
You have my staff report. If you've got any questions or anything, I'll be more than happy to answer or address any issues. I hope everybody's noticed the windows are cleaner at the courthouse and here. A little bit of a challenge. We've worked through all of our issues except for one little incident at the door. And we have things in place to take care of that. It's going to take a little time. But we do have a plan to address that issue.
And you gave notice right away to employees and is there proper signage for people coming in to do business here as far as, that entrance being closed?
As far as I know, the only issue could be there's nothing in the parking lot, so people do come to that door and then find out it's closed. I did reach out to all police, fire, and all those, so they know that that exit is closed. It does create a little bit of a access issue that I dealt with this morning. Currently, our elevator in the back is out of service, so I have a little challenge there with accommodating, but I did meet that at the door and address that issue the best I could this morning, so.
Yeah, and the timing's not real good with people coming in to voter registration. I was in there yesterday and people were coming in and I assume they got in okay. They had a walker, but
Yeah, that's what I dealt with this morning, and yes, the timing is going to be an issue. I've already got, hopefully get a proposal back on it, so we've made contact with the insurance so we can start to make the repair. There's really not a way to, I guess it could be done as securing that, to open that back up, but there's a lot of liability to that approach. So I'm hoping to get a proposal and get a timeline through that to overcome that in the near future. I don't really want it to look like a repair. That is on the historic part of the building. There is stone that has to be fabricated and everything, so there's a lot of details to that.
and accidents happen.
Yes, it was a little unique, but yes, it did take place.
And I have noticed the clean windows. I was in voter registration yesterday and boy, it was like a new world out there. Of course, we've removed the trees and everything.
Correct. The trees out back are not obnoxious or anything. They don't bother the building. We're leaving those. We did some trimming up to access, but the front ones were not the proper tree to be at that location. So.
Madam President, I would like to make a comment to Jack. Basically from us, Jack, we think you're doing a good job. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
And thanks for all you do. There's an issue with a termination that occurred that a councilman actually has kind of voiced an opinion about it, but we talked to you about that. You responded well, and I think for the record, we are supportive of how that was handled.
Yes.
And how your response to us was, and we thank you for that.
Yes.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's a done deal.
Yep.
And it's over, so.
Thank you, commissioners.
Good comment, Denny.
Any other questions?
No, are you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You're fine. It's getting better every day.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, I think Todd said it so well during performance review that you've been baptized by fire. And I mean, you walked in and hit the ground running and then had some unexpected things happen and so.
Very happy the way the department, I'm really happy everything's responding well. We've got a few challenges that we're working through, but I think we're going to be fine.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you. Doug is at AIC, so he submitted a brief report for your review there. So that concludes staff reports. Commissioners?
Nothing from me.
Just one brief comment. There's a area in the county that is county jurisdiction. A town in the county is looking at trying to figure out a way to annex that property. One of the larger entities in that current district has reached out to me to want to meet with me and talk about it. And so just for the record, I am going to meet with them to talk to them and listen to what they have to say, and we'll see what happens with all of that. I think I'll leave it at that at the moment. But I wanted it to be kind of semi-public without mentioning a specific location.
Okay. Okay.
It's in the, I'll say this, it's in the southwest part of the county.
Oh,
So,
well, I see. It's a
Never
good thing you
mind.
said that because I would have guessed it to be the northeast part of the county.
no, that might come later.
The only thing I have is to remind you that it is our responsibility and obligation to appoint a member to the Drainage Board in place of Mr. Ryland. And I know we have received one application that somebody took off of the internet. And we have two other people that are interested. And have you received their applications? So I don't know when you want to make that decision. You want to wait till the end of the year when we do our appointments? I'm not sure whether, I think Stan's appointment was probably up this year anyway.
I
Because
think his was.
we reappointed Jack last year.
So we,
Do you want to interview them? I assume you want to interview them, don't you?
That's for all three of us to decide, so we'd have to schedule a executive session in order to interview them. It could be just as simple as reviewing the applications individually and then having a consensus as to who would appoint. So your call.
maybe when we get, if we get the other applications, we can do that. And then if we want to sit
That's a
down
good
and
call.
interview them, we
Good
could.
call, then we.
Schedule
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe do it
There you
that
go.
way.
Okay.
And we could interview them in an executive session on
I'm
one of the
not sure
days
on
we
that.
meet.
I think there's something in the statute of where interviewing interested applicants for board positions that you cannot do it in an executive session, but I'll have to double check to make sure.
You mean we have to do it in a public meeting? I see.
Which could be
Yeah.
at a time other than our regular.
Right.
I think we've done that with
With the others.
hospital and
Oh, yes, we have.
hospital board and health board.
Yeah.
So just something for you to think about.
That sounds like a plan
Okay.
to see.
I did attend Mr. Ryland's funeral and it was a nice tribute to the person that he is, and it was strange coming into the meeting this morning and
It is.
Stan not being here.
That's-
He missed very few meetings, and last winter when he was in Florida, he would call in. So he was a good member. We did a good job on appointing that one, so.
Since you mentioned that, I attended Dick Thompson's funeral, and he was a man that served the county well in a lot of different capacities and the state of Indiana. So,
The thing I remember about Dick Thompson was in the summertime, he painted barns.
yes.
Up until, I was at both. Dick Thompson painted, I think up until he was 76. He still painted barns.
You were at Stan's funeral?
That was Stan's calling.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Dick's
I
funeral.
went to the calling as well.
If there's nothing else, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.